Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. This is a B1 level science lesson and today we're going to talk about asking questions. So why do scientists ask questions? The scientist is not a person who gives the right answers, he is the one who asks the right questions. And that's a quote by Claude Levi-Strauss, a French philosopher. So what do you think of this quote? Do you agree or disagree and why? So complete each sentence with a question word. And you can pause the video, try this on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check the answers. So here we use who to ask about a person. We use what to ask about a thing. We use where to ask about a place. We use when to ask about a time. We use why to ask for a reason. We use how to ask for an explanation, sorry, and we use how much or how many to ask about a quantity. So now see if you can complete each question with the correct question word. Again, you can pause the video and try these on your own and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. So number one, we would say, what is the meaning of photosynthesis? How much time does it take for a 5-pound ball to fall 10 feet? How many minutes does it take a cup of water to boil? How does that work? What would happen if I do this? Where is the nucleus of a cell? When do tomato plants begin to grow? Who discovered the law of gravity? And why do birds fly south in the winter? So what are some questions that you have about the natural world? And these are some examples. Is the earth round? How do insects communicate with each other? What causes thunderstorms? Why do leaves change color in the fall? And does the sun always rise in the east? So here we'll talk about question structure. So you want to create questions using the words below, and you will need to change the form of the verb. So for yes or no questions, you start with the to be verb is, am, or are plus the subject plus an adjective. So an example, is the sky blue? Other questions could be is plus the subject or the adjective. Why is the sky blue? You can also use do or does plus the subject plus the verb. Do plants need oxygen? Or you can use a question word plus do or does plus subject plus verb. Why do plants need oxygen? So go ahead and try to put these words in order to make a question and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. All right, so number one, what is the purpose of the scientific method? Number two, how does the Earth's rotation and revolution affect the seasons? What are the basic structures and functions of cells? Number four, What causes earthquakes? And number 5, when did dinosaurs go extinct? All right, so now you're going to look at these answers and create a question. So you sneeze when you are sick in order to clear the foreign particles from your body. So why do we sneeze when we are sick? Yes, if you add salt to water, it will boil faster. Okay, so you could say, does salt water boil faster? No, not all living things need oxygen to survive. So do all living things need oxygen to survive? Number 4, winter starts on December 21st. So when does winter start? Number 5, the plant is near the window. Where is the plant? Number 6, yes, the temperature is above freezing. So is the temperature above freezing? Digestion begins in the mouth. So where does digestion begin? There are 118 elements in the periodic table, but that number is always changing. So how many elements are there on the periodic table? I'm not sure. This could be anything. See how does rocket science work? Could say I'm not sure. And can you help me with this question? Sure, I can help. All right, testable questions. So which questions can a scientist answer if they did an experiment? So scientific questions are testable and based on observation. The question should contain at least one factor, which is variable, that you can change in your experiment, and at least one factor variable that you can measure. So is the earth round? Why do leaves change color in the fall? How do insects communicate with each other? Does the sun always rise in the east? And does the amount of sunlight affect a plant's growth? So these are all testable questions. And see if you can think of some other testable questions. Now, testable questions often begin with question starters such as how, what, if, does, or follow the structure below. So if we change X, how does it affect Y? What happens to X if we change Y? how does changing X affect Y? How does X affect Y? Does the amount or type of X affects Y? What is the best time to X? What effect does X have on Y? And can X? So pretend that you want to test the relationships below and then write a testable question using one of the structures above. The relationship between exercise and blood pressure. So you could say something like, how does exercise affect blood pressure? Or what effect does exercise have on blood pressure? The relationship between sleep and memory. So you could say, does the amount of sleep affect memory? The relationship between video games and violence. Um, how do video games affect violence? And the relationship between studying and test scores, sorry. So what effect does studying have on test scores? So do or does. So here for these questions, you're going to choose do or does. So number one, do different types of soil affect the growth of plants? Does the amount of salt in water affect the boiling point of water? Do different types of light bulbs affect the amount of energy used in a household? How does the pH level of soil affect the growth of plants? And what effect does exercise have on the heart rate? And then we're going to talk about what is the difference between affect with an A and effect with an E. So create one sentence using affect and one using effect. And here are some examples. When we exercise, it can affect our heart rate, causing it to increase and have a positive effect on our overall health and fitness. All right, so now we're going to choose a beginning and an end that match. So how does the temperature affect how fast ice melts? How does the angle affect the speed a car goes down a ramp? How does the shape affect how far a paper airplane travels? How does a person's genes affect their personality? How does exercise affect the person's heart rate? And how does sunlight affect plant growth? Now, these students are wondering about different things. Use their thoughts to make questions that they can test. And these are some of the question forms. I wonder how sugar affects my heart rate. So you could say, what effect does sugar have on my heart rate? I wonder if I will do better on tests if I sleep more. Uh, how does the amount of sleep affect my test scores? I want to know if drinking more water will help my skin. Does the amount of water affect my skin? And I want to know if this bug spray is effective at stopping mosquitoes. And what effect does this bug spray have on mosquitoes? Now, a good experimental question is specific and measurable. And you can make a question more specific by adding numbers, such as a duration of time or length of time, and frequency, which is the amount of time. So the question, how does light affect plant growth? But a more specific question, how do different durations of light exposure, 12 hours, 16 hours, and 24 hours, affect the growth of tomato plants over a period of 6 weeks? Now, are the numbers below durations or frequencies? So I exercise for 30 minutes 4 times a week. So the 30 minutes is a duration and the 4 times a week is a frequency. So over a period of 12 weeks would be duration, 5 days is duration, twice a week is frequency, once a day is frequency, for 2 months is duration, for 3 hours is duration, and biweekly is frequency. So, are these questions testable? And if no, how can you change the question to make it more testable? So, how does exercise affect weight loss? This cannot be tested. So, a better question is, how does running 3 times a week versus not exercising at all affect the weight loss and muscle mass in middle-aged women over a period of 12 weeks? So, how does music affect studying? So, again, try to make that more specific. What makes plants grow best? How does the length of time that a tomato plant is in direct sunlight affect its health, its height? And how does soil affect the growth of tomato plants? And so you want to think about duration, frequency, the type of person or thing being tested, and how you plan to measure it. So now create experimental questions using the words or phrases provided. So here we have the flavor of ice cream or how fast the ice cream melts. If we change the flavor of the ice cream, does it affect the speed at which the ice cream melts? So go ahead and create some questions using these phrases. And as you perform scientific experiments, you might have some additional questions. So pretend that you're conducting an experiment to determine the amount of water that is best for a plant to grow the tallest. As you are conducting the experiment, you may wonder, what if I change the location of the plant? Does the water temperature matter? And I wonder if this plant needs soil to grow. So you can create some other questions beginning with the phrases, what will happen if, is it possible to, and I wonder if. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Please like, subscribe, share, and if you have any questions, leave those for me in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.